Go. Now going over to the culture part of the podcast, you have Bud Light last night. Tweet is mostly, well, it's mostly as boring as most last nights. Now, this comes to us thanks to their ex-Twitter profile. And Bud Light, they said, quote, last night was a movie. And it says hashtag easy wishes. Let's see if there's some terrible copyrighted movie. Let's see. I guess they didn't want to pay for the music rights. So there's no music. So it's a compilation. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I don't know if this is a Bud Light marketing idea or just someone who doesn't know how to do any video editing at all. But they simply, it's a 15-second clip, but it's just 1, 2, what is it? 1, 2, 3, but it's just 3 images in a loop for 15 seconds. So I'm not quite sure what the purpose is in terms of, I guess it gets you to talk about it because there's no music, you think it's broken. Kind of like how sometimes when you see an advertisement and it's a visual or it's a video advertisement, if it's in black and white, it actually gets people's attention because that is so rarely used in modern media. So perhaps that's their idea behind this. But it looks like one of the Manning brothers holding a Bud Light, which interestingly enough, the Bud Light bottle is open, so it's insinuating it has been sipped upon. And he's arm wrestling some guy who looks like the Hulk on steroids. His arms are probably bigger than most people's thighs. And then you have the Bud Light genie, which I believe the youth would refer to this as a douche in terms of the kind of the, almost like a Louis Vuitton tracksuit or something like that. And then you have the gentleman, what is that, musician? Oh no, I did. Let me the Google. It looks like the Post Malone guy with the tattoos, who is not sponsored by the U.S. Postal Service. That was kind of my first thought when I heard about Post Malone. I thought there was some type of partnership there. No, he's not in fact sponsored by them. That, I mean, seems like that should be just right off the money or easy money, so they should do it. But no. Now, in terms of statistics for this video of 3 pictures, and they say last night was a movie. Seems like a really boring movie. And again, Manning, I want to say, he just wears the same lazy sweater. Interestingly enough, it is more of a greenish tinge, whereas most of the materials historically seem to be blue, which I thought would actually be more on brand for these commercials since it's a Bud Light commercial. But nevertheless, they tend to be arm wrestling. Another picture is some guy, what is this, is he vaping? Vaping, which I know that's very popular, so interesting they're promoting that. And who the heck is this? Some girl taking a finger to put her lip up so you can see that she spent a copious amount of her income on, what do they call the bling bling teeth? Teeth that have been bedazzled with diamonds and precious metals. And it looks like the Bud Light genie guy in the background is smiling. Which movie? I can't imagine the long-term cost of ownership or the long-term maintenance of those bedazzled teeth and how inconvenient it really is. I mean, imagine you're eating something, you have a little bit of food that's stuck there, you actually this amount of diamond, and there's 5, 10, 20 grand, or how much people are paying for those little pieces of carbon these days, that just falls off under your food, or maybe just disappears altogether. It seems highly impractical, but that's just me. Now, within 24 hours, it looks like it got 10,000 views. I wrote this down earlier this week, and 156 likes, which is, not terrible for Bud Light. This is one of the few ones where they're not just giving stuff. Oh, wait, they say easy wishes, so they are giving away stuff for free. Never mind, that's probably why there's a couple likes, whereas usually there's very, very few. And the first comment comes from Claudia Amory. She says, is it still going? And she did the hashtag easy wishes. And Bud Light said, it sure is. Going to her profile, she's got 355 followers. And she is mentally vacuous. Everything about her is free crap. Anything. Beer, candy bars, what is this? T-shirts. And she reposts everything Budweiser, which I don't know if they're paying her like to be a brand ambassador or something, but she's reposting everything for Bud Light and Budweiser. Like, consistently, that's all she's doing. So I'm scrolling through her timeline. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. It took me like 10 different Budweiser and Bud Light retweets. And then I got to one where she wants to, what is this? You can win a gift card to some type of grocery store. So again, these people are mentally vacuous or just want free stuff. It's also an unauthorized or unverified account. Now, the first, and no one liked that. Bud Light did respond, so they kind of half-assed their social media team. They did respond to her, so they interacted with this, I would say, prospective fan or client, but let's be honest, she just wants free crap. Now, Bud Light just said, it sure is, but they didn't like her response. Now, granted, neither did I. Hell, no one did. But they did kind of interact with her. Now, the first response from a verified user comes from PB, and PB says, never Bud Light, unquote, and that got 7 likes. Now, Catherine is below him. She got no likes, but she did the hashtag easy wishes. So looks like she's a verified account. A lot of easy wishes. A lot of people wanting the free crap, getting 0 to 1 like. Here's another one that got more than 1 like. Mariana says, quote, a Super Bowl ad with celebrities won't get your customers back. It will take 2 things. 1, take accountability and finally own up for the mistakes of your past. 2, apologize, which you still have never done, unquote. I got 7 likes. And again, it's been almost a year since they paid Dylan Mulvaney $185,000 for a couple of videos and a couple of pictures of Dylan Mulvaney holding the iconic Bud Light can. Well, actually, more than iconic, it had Dylan's face plastered upon it, celebrating 365 days of womanhood, which perhaps is the most expensive, most valuable piece of business merchandise or advertising material in history in terms of the impact on the business. I can't think of a bigger business blunder of spending $185,000 and losing hundreds of millions of dollars in sales. It's perhaps the largest negative return on investment in history. I actually think that it probably is true. So that I almost feel like Harrison Ford saying it belongs in a museum. Absolutely. And it also should be a big use case of what not to do if you are a brand. Now, going down, you see a couple more people saying hashtag easy wishes. Allegedly, they want to win free stuff from Bud Light. Scrolling down. Mustard Green says, quote, the guy's ovaries are about to burst, unquote, getting 2 likes. Let's see. Mark says, quote, still waiting for an apology for getting that man to pose in a bubble bath. Disgusting, unquote. Getting 2 likes. Which, I was going to say, I believe the youth call that not dead naming, what is it? Misgendering. They used to get you banned on the X Twitter, but I suppose Mark didn't actually specify specifically, technically, that he was referring to Dylan Mulvaney, which is the whole point of controversy since, again, Dylan Mulvaney's average audience age was about 15 years old, so probably doesn't make sense to give this person hundreds of thousands of dollars to advertise alcohol. Now, granted, going down, you see a couple more gifs of Dylan Mulvaney, a couple of people saying they like PBR. Larry Bevins simply replied with a poop emoji. They got 4 likes. There's more like than all the other ones that just want free stuff. Let's see here. Mike says, quote, hey Bud Light, are you deleting all negative comments on this social media platform too? Your Instagram account looks sterile. So much for American values such as freedom of speech and expression, unquote, getting 5 likes. And yeah, they were roasted heavily a couple months back for censoring pretty much all the social media platforms, including myself. Now, I simply use my individual X Twitter profile to comment on one of the Bud Light posts where they said something to the effect of, here's a reminder to buy Bud Light, which no one really needs. Now, I responded by saying, thanks for the reminder for me to go out and buy Yangling. And all I did was post a picture of Yangling in can and bottle form, a couple of cases of those on my interview podcast table, and they blocked me for that. Really? I didn't it didn't even mention the lack of quality or taste of your product. I just said, thanks for reminding me of your competition, which, interestingly enough, I'm not a beer aficionado. Truth be told, when the occasion calls for it, I might enjoy a good spirit. But I actually only know Yangling because of Bud Light. That, and a couple of again, if you're a beer aficionado, you might have already heard of them. And I buy them when I have a corporate event. I buy Yangling because they're family owned. And that is exceedingly rare for a company they're the oldest brewery in the United States. That's even more rare to have a multi-generational family business still in the family. So those are a couple of reasons why I support the company. And hilariously enough, gotta thank Bud Light for bringing that to my attention. Cold Poker says, quote, you mean a horror movie? Is a picture of, it's a nice way of saying this, a marital aid or a woman aid. Try to keep this moderately family friendly, but you know what I'm talking about. And they are relabeled Bud Light, and it says Bud Light's new rocket ship beers. I'm getting 4 likes. Let's see here. Taxpayer 13549 says, quote, y'all have spent millions upon millions trying to advertise your customers back. You still fail to realize who your customer base is, and they won't return until you apologize and ask them back. Donate instead of wasting advertising money. Shit, do I need to run AB? Unquote. That did get 5 likes, which, again, is a consistent theme. Every time we seem to be looking at Bud Light or any of the intellectual brands owned by Anheuser-Busch, one of the most biggest feedback you always see is apologize. Own up to what you did. Now, realistically, I don't think they will ever apologize, partially because if they were to do that, there'd be a massive boycott or backlash from the far left who agreed and supported Dylan Mulvaney. At the time when this story first broke, they actually started boycotting Anheuser-Busch because they again, this is what they were saying on the far left, they were saying that Anheuser-Busch didn't stand by Dylan Mulvaney. So there was already backlash. I forget there's a holding company in Chicago, a gay bar holding company where they own 4 to 5 gay bars in the Chicago and Chicago suburbs. And they said specifically they're boycotting the brand because they didn't stick with Dylan Mulvaney. Now, Bud Light has actually advertised and sponsored gay pride parades for decades. Personally, I don't think that's the point of the controversy in terms of why many people are boycotting them. They've done that for decades again. The biggest difference between all of those decades ago and now was Dylan Mulvaney, who again is controversy because, again, the average audience member of Dylan Mulvaney is about 15 years old. So you're giving someone money to advertise a product when that person's primary audience is children. And in the United States, it is also a controversy that Dylan Mulvaney is a trans activist, or I forget the terminology, but a male who identifies as a female. And even in the trans community, this person is controversial because Dylan has never had the surgery that some people say is a requirement to transition. So a person is very controversial in and of itself, even within that community. So it was a whole controversial nightmare for Bud Light to take on, and they've almost, well, granted, they're not going to go out of business, obviously. They sell 70% of their sales for the Bud Light brand specifically. All the other brands are down marginally. Budweiser's down around 10 to 12% week over week. Michelob Ultra is down 3 to 5%. And all the other brands are more or less the same. And again, Anheuser-Busch InBev, the big global company headquartered over in Belgium, they have over 40 beer brands. So again, they're not going away anytime soon. But for that specific brand, Bud Light, they had a huge kneecapping to their sales. And it'll be interesting to see what's the long-term ramifications. I mean, will they ever apologize? Probably not. Will their sales ever really come back this year? I mean, they're spending a lot of money on marketing. They're putting money into things that would be perceived as more conservative. They're putting money into the UFC with I believe it's a $100 million deal with them. You have them sponsoring I would say more politically in the middle, Shane Gillis, stand-up comedian. So, and they're putting a lot of money behind these folks. So it'll be interesting to see, I mean, at what point, if ever, do people forgive Bud Light, or is the Bud Light boycott just permanent and there's no way they're going to get those old customers back? They're just going to have to try to find a new audience for their product. I mean, let me know in the comments, when was the last time you actually saw someone drink a Bud Light, not ironically, and would you ever buy one yourself? As always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, I'm trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of February, so click that button. I greatly appreciate it. Also, sharing the video is a great way to help us build the audience, and giving a like or thumbs up or thumbs down or comment, great way to give me some additional feedback. Also, lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.